have the pleasure of introducing another friend and colleague, the Honourable Andrew Little, Minister of Justice, Minister for Courts and Treaty of Waitangi Negotiations, and the Minister responsible for the GCSB, NZSIS, and Pike River Re-Entry. Now, from bake sale fundraisers to the Beehive, Minister Little has devoted his life to advocating for a better and fairer New Zealand. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the Honourable Minister, Andrew Little.
Namaste, tēnā koutou katoa, good afternoon everybody. Like Graham, who's just spoken before me, I'm conscious that I'm the last thing between you and lunch, so I will try not to keep you any longer than is necessary. Can I acknowledge my Cabinet colleague, the Honourable Jenny Salesa, who's just arrived, also my parliamentary colleague, Priyanka Radhakrishnan, who's just introduced me, and good afternoon to all of you as well. Look, just 3 or 4 points I just wished to make. First of all, I acknowledge the Indian-New Zealand Business Council for organising this event and affirm the importance of the relationship between New Zealand, the New Zealand people and the New Zealand government, and India and its people and government as well. We have a rapidly growing Indian community in New Zealand, now up to around 160,000 residents. We also have a large number of students coming to study here from India. India is the second largest source of tertiary students coming to study here in New Zealand. And we have roughly 290,000 air travellers travelling between New Zealand and India each year. So the relationship is strong, it is growing, and it's very important. The last state visit by a New Zealand Prime Minister to India was in 2016 when John Key, now Sir John Key, visited. It was his second visit as Prime Minister of New Zealand. And last year, our current Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, met with Narendra Modi at the East Asia Summit in November. They had a good meeting and very keen to continue to nurture the dialogue and the relationship. Trade between our two countries now stands at roughly $2.7 billion a year. There has been a rapid growth in services. Interestingly, a small decrease in goods trades between the two countries. Maybe better air links will assist in getting goods to and from the two countries. There has been part of that growth in services is the increase in spend on education by Indian students. Obviously, the trade relationship would be very much assisted by an improved, or in fact, having a trade agreement at all. The last Labour-led government, up until 2008, under the Honourable Phil Goff, who was Trade Minister at the time, started talking about the terms of negotiating a free trade agreement between the two countries. In 2010, the then national government formally commenced negotiations for a free trade agreement, a bilateral free trade agreement between the two countries. It seems to have got bogged down since then. Both countries are party to the negotiations for a regional comprehensive economic program, and those talks are continuing. But having a formalised trade relationship and trade agreement would, I think, be of enormous benefit between the two countries, and we will continue to explore that within this government and on this side of that relationship. Can I talk briefly about air connectivity? Because obviously, in terms of contact between the two countries, having a direct link would be extraordinarily helpful, rather than the kind of two-hop or two-step approach we have to take at the moment. An air services agreement was signed between the two countries in 2016 that was to assist or to pave the way for talks between airlines on trying to get and airports on trying to get that more direct connectivity. But regrettably, there hasn't been a great deal of progress in establishing those direct links. Air New Zealand, our principal airline and substantially government-owned, co-chairs with Singapore Airlines and goes through Singapore in order to connect with New Delhi. New Delhi is the principal port with which we would want to connect. Air India, we know, stops at Melbourne and Sydney on its way to and from Auckland, and there are other airlines, of course, AirAsia, one of the other ones that flies to here. We do need to make progress, and this government is keen to see progress being made on establishing direct air links. Next month, we will be hosting India's Minister of Commerce and Aviation, Suresh Prabhu, and we hope that that will be an opportunity to continue discussions, to continue talks, to keep the impetus going in trying to establish those air links. So on that note, can I say thank you once again, and to all the promotional activity that's been happening here, the discussion at this conference, let us hope that we can continue the push to establish those direct air links. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Little. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of session 3, and we've also reached the end of my time with you as your MC. It's been an absolute privilege. You are all influencers across the social, economic and political spheres here in New Zealand. Thank you once again for being here. You've been an absolutely wonderful audience. Thank you.
And a big thank you to Priyanka, and a small token of appreciation to Priyanka, please. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for everything.